Hey, hi, this is Sandeep, and in this tutorial I'm going to experiment with the optimist and pessimist lockings. There will be concurrent users making changes, and we will see how it all works. Okay, so here I have got this optimist locking. I want to tell you one thing very clearly, that in both optimist and pessimist locking, concurrent users, that is to say, let's say two users, user 1 and user 2, so both can make changes on the same view in different row concurrently. Okay, so in optimist also this is possible, and pessimist also this is possible. So let's experiment first with optimist. I have run the application, and here is the application. Here is user 1, here is user 2. Okay, and our data looks like this: Chennai, Lucknow and Hyderabad. Okay, so here let's say user 1 makes a change to this Chennai, from Chennai to Chennai U, and starts a transaction. Here is a transaction. Okay, on the same time, here user 2 makes a change from Lucknow to Lucknow U. So as you can see, user 1 user N starts a transaction, let's say, by clicking next. Okay, so you see over here two users are there, and they have started their own transactions. They have made the changes to the same view but two different rows. Okay, so if you commit this holds this change only, Chennai to Chennai U. If you commit this, okay, it has been committed. If you go to the database, refresh it, you will find Chennai changed to Chennai U. That is updated. Even if you click next, you will get the refresh data over here. So if you click re-execute the query, it can be executed, because right now you are not in a transaction. Now if you come over to user 2, here you have changed only this row. Okay, and this is getting it from the cache. It is not right now getting it from the DB. Now let's say you commit it. As you commit, see, this also is refreshed from the DB right now. So commit always commits and gets the data from the DB. Okay, and now if you come to the DB refresh, you will see this row got changed. Okay, so this proves that on the same view, if you want to make changes to the different rows with different users in optimist locking, you can do that. Okay, now let's change the locking to pessimist, and let's try to do the same thing with pessimist locking, and let's see what happens. I rerun the application. So our app is running in pessimist mode. Here is user 1, here is user 2, and here is the sample data: Chennai, Lucknow, Hyderabad. Now here user 1 goes and makes a change from Chennai to Chennai U and starts a transaction. Here is user 2. He obviously won't be able to make a change to this row because that is logged by user 1, so I won't try that. I'll click next, and I'll make a change over here, Lucknow U, and start a transaction. Okay, so this user has changed Chennai row, and this user has changed Lucknow row. Okay, now let's go ahead and commit this one first. If you commit this, it has been committed. Chennai row has been committed. If you refresh, you will find this row got changed by user 1. Now if you come back and if you try to re-execute it, let's see what happens. It can de-execute because you are not in a transaction, so re-execution is working. Let's come to user 2. Here if you see the previous, here it is still getting it from the cache, Chennai, but if you click commit, it gets this row also from the DB as it did earlier. And if you click next, here is Lucknow U. If you refresh the DB, you see the Lucknow row has been updated by the user 2. So you can make, so this proves that with both of the mechanisms, you can make the changes to different rows of the same view concurrently with the different users. Okay, now there is a very interesting point here in optimist locking. If you remember that concurrent user can make the changes to the same row. Okay, so that's very interesting to study. That's very interesting point to study, because if two users are making the changes to the same row at the same time, then how the commit would happen. Okay, so I have put the locking as optimist, and I have run the application over here. Here is user 1, here is user 2, and we're gonna study how the commit works. Okay, and here is our sample data: Chennai, Lucknow, Hyderabad. Okay, now what would happen? Let's see. Suppose this is user 2. He makes a change to this Chennai row and starts a transaction. okay, but the user 2 does not start a transaction. It is simply scrolling through over the records, just like that. Now user 1 commits the data. As it commits the data, the DB will get updated. If you refresh, you will get the Chennai row updated to Chennai U. Okay, now what would happen if you click on user 2? It is still showing Chennai, that is, it is showing whatever it fetched earlier. But if you click re-execute the query, it can re-execute because user 2 was not in a transaction. It re-executed and got the Chennai U from the DB. Okay, so if one user is updating, other is not doing anything, then if the other is just re-executing, then it can see the modified changes, the committed data, what has been posted to the DB by the user 1. Okay, so that's one case. Now the other case is, now our sample data looks like this. So now the other case is if both the user make change to the same row at the same time. Now let's see here is Chennai U, right? Suppose user 1 makes a change to Chennai U and put it as Chennai U1, okay, and starts a transaction, right? So here you have updated. Now at the same time user 2 also modifies the same row and clicks next. So up to here it was possible because both of the users are in the Optimist lock and they can make the changes or modifications on the same row. So it was possible up to here. Okay, so here user 2 has modified Chennai to Chennai U2 and user 1 has modified Chennai to Chennai U1. Okay, so let's say now user 1 commits the data. Now as user 1 commits the data, you see over here, refresh, Chennai U1 is appearing over here. That's fine up to here. Okay, but as user 2 goes and commits the data right here, it would get error, another user. So this is a kind of an insane commit that you're trying to do. You are trying to update the same row with the two users and commit also with the same users. You can modify the same row in Optimist lock by two users, but while committing you should be very careful. So this kind of insane commits won't work because here you have already committed this one and here you are inside the transaction and you're trying to commit, and here also you cannot issue re-execute. Even if you try to do, you'll get error because as I told you that you're in the middle of transaction, you cannot issue re-execute. That's the only thing that I told you. So that is how it works. So here one more interesting thing is this rollback button. Okay, so when this rollback button, what does it do? Right now I'm running the app in Optimist mode, and here's the sample data again. I have changed it to Chennai, Lucknow, Hyderabad, simple. Now here's user 1, here is user 2. Now what would happen, this rollback button simply in both of the locking mechanism, what it does, it simply rolls back all the changes done in your current transaction and hits the DB and gets the changes from their latest changes. It picks the latest change whatever exists in the DB and then it shows it over here. So let's do an experiment to have the demo of this. Let's say user 1 changes Chennai row to Chennai U, okay, and here at the same time user 2 changes Chennai to Chennai U, Lucknow to Lucknow U, and Hyderabad to Hyderabad U. Okay, and let's say it changes Chennai to Chennai U2, let's say, because it's a user 2, Hyderabad to Hyderabad 2. Okay, so here these all changes are done by user 2 and user 1. So both are in a transaction right now, and let's say user 2 puts a comment. Okay, and as user 2 puts a commit, if you see the DB, all these are updated: Chennai U2, Lucknow U2, Hyderabad U2. Now if you come to the user 1, you are already in a transaction, and if you click rollback, let's see what happens. See, as you click rollback, it roll back. Previously it was Chennai U, now it is Chennai U2, which it has picked from the DB. Not only this, the other rows also are refreshed from the DB. So what rollback is doing, rollback is actually rolling back all the changes done in your current transaction And see, the thing to notice is rollback will roll back the changes done in your transaction, which is present in the cache, not in the DB. Once you have committed the data to the DB, you cannot roll back it. Okay, so here it goes like this, rollback. So it has a rollback button. This is the functionality of the rollback button. So let's see the functionality of the rollback in Pessimist also. It works same over there also. Let's set it as Pessimist, save it, and rerun the application. So here's our app running in Pessimist mode. Here's user 1, user 2, and here's the sample data. Again, I have put it to Chennai, Lucknow, Hyderabad, simple as that. And let's say here user 1 tries to modify Chennai to Chennai U1, okay, and starts a transaction by clicking next. Now at the same time, user 2 wants to start a transaction, but here, as you know, this is Pessimist, then user 2 won't be able to make any change to this Chennai row, so I won't touch that. I will rather make changes to this Lucknow row and start a transaction, and as well make change to this Hyderabad row and start transaction. So right now both are in transaction, and the changes done by user 1 is in Chennai row, and the changes done by user 2 is in Lucknow and Hyderabad row. Let's say here user 2 commits the data. Okay, so as it commits the data, you can go in the DB and see the changes done by user 2 are appearing over here. Okay, if you go to the user 1, and here if you click rollback, see, it has got the Chennai, it has changed from Chennai U1 to Chennai, that is, it got the latest changes from here, it reverted its own changes. Apart from that, if you click next, the changes which have been posted to the DB by user 2, that is like now U2, is appearing over here. So rollback works same way in both of the cases. It rolls back, it reverses the changes done in your current transaction and hits the DB and gets the latest changes from there. So that's how rollback works, and it kind of worked in the way if you want to refresh the data again from the DB. That is to say, if you again want to hit the DB and get the latest changes from there, you can use this rollback button. Okay, so again it will actually roll back all the view, it will actually hit the DB and will get all the rows. Okay. So what it all means is that while you are in a transaction, and if you want to refresh the data, you know that in a transaction you cannot re-execute the query, so you can use rollback button as refresh. So what it will do while you are in a transaction, it will roll back all the changes done in your transaction. Again, it will hit the DB and will get the changes. So it kind of worked in a refresh manner while you are inside a transaction. Okay, so but sometimes what happens that we want to refresh the current row only, not the whole view. So that time, see here I have put refresh current row from backing bean method. These two buttons are there. So these are actually the same code getting invoked from different places. Here if you see this, here's the method that gets called, and I'm not doing anything, I'm just getting the handle over this VO which is being displayed on the UI, and then I'm getting the handle to the current row, and then I am saying row.refresh. That's what. So while you are in a transaction, and if you click this button, it will hit this method and it will refresh only this row. It will refresh only this row while you are in a transaction. The other button over here, what it is, let's see, refresh row from VO. So here, refresh row from, if you see the here is the refresh method that gets recalled. Actually this is the view, and this is the implementation Java class of the view, and here's the refresh. There is one method over here. I'm not doing anything, I'm just getting simply the handle of the current row, and I'm saying row.refresh. So this way this method gets called from here, refresh, okay, from this method. So basically these two buttons are doing the same thing from the different places. Okay, so you can set whatever lock you want. Let's see, this is Pessimist. This is already running in the Pessimist mode. Let's run this, Okay, so here's the pessimist mode running over here, and here's the data. So what I want to do, let's say I change from Chennai to Chennai 123, and okay, actually already there was a lock, so I need to again rerun the application. So just rerun the application. So here's our app running in the pessimist mode. So first of all, I will show you how it works. Let's say user 1 makes a change to the Chennai row. Here is the sample data, by the way, Chennai, Lucknow, Hyderabad, again simple. So here user 1 makes a change to the Chennai row, making it to Chennai U1, and starts a transaction. Okay, so here if you want to just refresh this row, you can press any one of these buttons. If you press this, you are refreshed. Again, if you try to change it and start a transaction, and you can click this also to refresh, it refreshed fine. Okay, suppose at the same time here right now you have Chennai, Lucknow, Hyderabad. Okay, at the same time, sorry, here you have got Chennai, Lucknow, Hyderabad. Okay, Chennai, Lucknow, Hyderabad is the data present over here, that is present in the user 1 and user 2. Let's say user 2 comes over here and makes a change to this row, and makes a change to this row and commits it. Okay, so if you refresh, you will see the changes done by user 2 are appearing over here. Now if you go to the user 1, if you scroll through, you will find still it is getting the rows from the cache. Then you want to refresh this particular Lucknow row, then you would say refresh, and it refreshed to Lucknow U2. If you click next, again it is getting from the cache. You can click this button or this button. Let's say I'll click this one right now. Click this, you will get Hyderabad U2. Okay, so these two buttons are used to refresh a particular row. So that is how it works, and in all of these demos I showed you by user 1 and user 2. It could also happen that user 1, whatever changes you are doing from here, okay, user 2 could not be here, but user 2 might be directly doing the changes from the DB. Okay, so the same functionality will work in the same way whatever I have shown you. If you are having one tab and doing anything from here, and concurrently another user is doing any changes from here, is equivalent to the changes done by any user from another tab. Okay, so I think this is pretty much well about this mechanism. I'll wrap up this topic right here. I'll see you